Hi, my name is Keith Nitka, and I'm proud to be the Battleship Operations Manager here on board Battleship Wisconsin. And today you can see I'm standing in front of an Armored Box Launcher, or ABL. I want to talk about the modern weapon systems on board Battleship Wisconsin, specifically the Tomahawk missiles that we carried. Of course, the Tomahawk missiles were an add-on in the 1980s, and to put the missile decks here and behind the camera, the forward missile decks, which are actually amidships on the ship, they had to remove a few things. Some of the anti-aircraft guns were removed, and also, of course, the 4 of the 10 5-inch dual mount 5-inch 38s had to be removed to make space for the missile decks. The missile decks, of course, were not here during World War II or Korea. So the Korean War guys that come on board, they recognize the ship for the most part, but there are certain parts like this area here that they don't recognize, and we have to explain to them, of course, this is what's going on. But the ship itself, the Iowa class battleships, when they were brought back into service in the 1980s, had to be modernized with modern weapons. So the Tomahawk missiles and also the anti-ship missile, the Harpoon, were installed on board the ship. Now, of course, normally you would see Tomahawk missiles inside of silos inside of the belly of a warship, but there was no way to reconfigure the Iowa class battleships to take the vertical launch system. So the Navy had to come up with something different. What they came up with was this box here, the Armored Box Launcher. So the Armored Box Launcher carries 4, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, and 4 Tomahawk cruise missiles. The cruise missiles come in 4 variants. Of the 4 variants, Battleship Wisconsin carried 3. The one variant that Wisconsin did not carry is the anti-ship missile. We had that duty taken by the Harpoons on board the ship. But we're going to talk specifically about the Tomahawks. We'll do another episode with the Harpoons later. But the variants of the Tomahawk that we carried here is the TLAM. TLAM stands for Tomahawk Land Attack Missile. So TLAM D, which the D stands for disbursement or dispensing. Those are little bomblets. There's the TLAM C, which is the Tomahawk Land Attack Missile Conventional. And then there's the TLAM A. The TLAM A is the nuclear warhead in the Tomahawk missile. So the Tomahawks themselves, they are approximately 20 feet in length. They are 21 inches in diameter. They weigh just around 3,300 pounds approximately, and they are located inside of a tube. The tube is what's loaded into the Armored Box Launcher. Inside of the tube is a live Tomahawk missile. And then when the Tomahawk is fired, what we're left with then is the tube that the Tomahawk was in place. The tube would need to be replaced, so they'd take that out and replace it with a live Tomahawk and another tube. They don't reload the tubes, they reload the entire system like that. There are 4 Tomahawks in each Armored Box Launcher, ABL. There are 8 Armored Box Launchers in total, for a total of 32 Tomahawk missiles on board Battleship Wisconsin. That is the maximum that we can carry when we deploy out to sea. We don't carry spares. They cannot be reloaded out at sea. We need to be moored to a pier for Tomahawk missiles to be reloaded into the Armored Box Launchers. Warfighting capability as far as the Tomahawk missile is very, very limited, just based on the fact that I have 32 Tomahawk missiles to play with, whereas there are much smaller ships, of course, out in the fleet that carry well over 100 Tomahawk missiles. All the Tomahawk missiles travel at approximately 550 miles per hour when they're in flight. The Tomahawk TLAM D, the dispersing, has a approximate range of 700 nautical miles. The TLAM C, the conventional warhead, has a maximum range of 900 nautical miles. The TLAM A, the nuclear version, has a maximum range of approximately 1,300 nautical miles, a little bit over that, which translates into 1,500 statute or land miles. The neat thing about that 1,500 land miles is the fact that if Battleship Wisconsin is here in the Atlantic Ocean and Battleship Missouri is over in the Pacific Ocean, there is no place in North America that we cannot touch with a nuclear warhead. The TLAM C, the conventional warhead, is a 1,000-pound TNT warhead. The bomblets has a 1,000-pound warhead, but it also has 9 bomblets. The way Tomahawks work in the 1990s was this. We would launch it from the battleship, and it would have waypoints to get to its destination, a maximum of 10 waypoints. And in those waypoints, we would set it to go to a point, and at waypoint 1, we could change altitude. At waypoint 2, we could change altitude and speed. At waypoint 3, we can change speed, however the variations work. And we're going from place to place to place. We're bouncing around with our waypoints. We're not actually going from point A to our destination, our target, in one smooth trip. The reason for this is to wreak havoc with our enemy's jamming system and also its detection system, so they don't know exactly where that Tomahawk may have been fired from. So with these waypoints, we go from different places, change altitude, change speed. Waypoint number 8 will be our ascent. Waypoint number 9 will be the descent. And then waypoint 10 is our actual target. With the dispensing bombs, we can have multiple targets along the way to our primary. So if we have troops in the open, or if we have an airfield that's in the relative vicinity of our initial target, our primary target, we can drop bomblets on that. The conventional warhead, of course, is just that, the conventional warhead. The A version, the nuclear version, carries a dial-yield warhead. A dial-yield is, or also known as a variable yield, ranges from 5 kilotons. I can change that all the way up to 150 kilotons. Now, of course, a kiloton is the destructive energy, the destructive force inside of that warhead, and it can change from 5 kilotons all the way up to 150. That doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot in just numbers. I'm throwing numbers out at you. But if you take it into context of World War II and Hiroshima, it means a big deal. The bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima was a 5 kiloton warhead. It instantaneously killed 75,000 Japanese people. Instantaneously, just like that, 75,000 people were killed by that 5 kiloton bomb. Over the next 7 days' time, another 25,000 Japanese people were killed by radiation fallout and the like. So in 7 days' time, 100,000 Japanese people were killed by a 5 kiloton bomb. If I'm really, really angry at my enemy, I can dial that bad boy all the way up to 150 kilotons. That's a lot of destructive force, a lot of destructive power inside of that warhead. We carried a few of them. I'm not going to say that we didn't. Back in the day, when I was a sailor on board the ship, if you were to ask me if I had nuclear weapons on board this ship, I would have to say the standard verbiage is, I can neither confirm nor deny the presence of nuclear weapons aboard any U.S. Navy vessel. Today, as a museum ship, I can tell you we did carry a few of those nuclear weapons on board. We did not carry them to the Persian Gulf. We offloaded them before deploying to the Persian Gulf, and they were replaced with the conventional warhead. But we did carry them. They were stored in 2 of the ABLs that are in the forward or the amidships ABLs, the armored box launchers. So this is what it looks like when it's loaded up, when we're out to sea. I'm going to show you next what it looks like when it's in the launching position, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Okay, so here we are in front of an ABL or armored box launcher that is in the open and launching position. To load these, a crane would have to bring on, like I said, that Tomahawk missile that's inside the canister. The doors would be open. There would be a cradle that is slid out, and we would put the entire system on that cradle. It would then be stowed away, doors closed, and out we go. When we're launching, we're opening up to this position. We're at a 45-degree angle. And when we have our waypoint set and everything is ready to go, in Combat Engagement Center, we will launch the Tomahawk missile. The Tomahawk missile will launch out of the ABL. And what's a little weird, I don't know if you watched the video. Hopefully you watched the video with Guy Zanti, who was a tactical action officer in CEC when I was in CEC with him. he talked a little bit about the launch sequence itself. They would give the waypoints, they would push the button, and there would be this moment of, oh my goodness, is it actually going to launch? Because it's not an instantaneous boom. It's a, so there was that wait between that and actually hearing it leave the ABL. But it opens up to a 45-degree angle. It has a rocket booster that weighs approximately 550 pounds. That launches it off of the ship. So if you've seen video of the Tomahawks leaving Battleship Wisconsin, booster rocket will actually push it, so it comes out like that, but then it starts going like that, where it's pushing it almost at a vertical angle away from the ship. About 10 nautical miles out at sea from the ship is where the rocket booster itself will drop off. The internal motor will take over and propel it the rest of the way. It'll level out. Wings will pop out the side, so it has a wingspan of about 8 feet 9 inches approximately, and then it flies on its waypoints to its target. Now the guidance system in the nose of this is actually, it's looking for pictures. Before launching Tomahawk missiles, well before launching Tomahawk missiles, we will have pictures of the target itself, and we will have pictures of how we want it to go. So it knows it's not working so much by GPS. I'm giving it a latitude and longitude, pushing a button, and off it goes. It's actually looking for things that it visually recognizes in its computer system. So it's going to get to the corner of 5th and Main and make a left-hand turn. It's going to follow Main Street up till we get to 7th Avenue, and there at 7th Avenue it'll make a right-hand turn, and so on and so forth. So it's looking for different things. A mountain range with a copse of trees right here, or a boulder that looks like this, or what have you. That's how it flies. That's what it's looking for. That's how it's getting to its target. When it gets to its target, of course, like I was saying, 8 is going up, 9 is coming down, 10 is its actual target. Big explosion. Here on board Battleship Wisconsin, we would watch them launch. And that was it. We'd see them fly away, and then you wouldn't know much more about it until we turned on CNN that evening or the next day. We would then hear about a Tomahawk missile striking this point or that point, and then the fire controlman knew, or the guys that worked up in CEC knew that that was our Tomahawk missile. There were on occasion, one occasion that I can think of specifically, where a camera crew was out filming and a Tomahawk cruise missile flew overhead. They all stopped filming, jumped in the truck, followed the Tomahawk cruise missile down the road to its target. When they reached its target, of course, the target had been annihilated, but in spray paint on a 4x8 piece of plywood in English, someone had written, an Iraqi had written, "baby milk factory." That was our Tomahawk missile. That, of course, was not a baby milk factory. We were not shooting at baby milk factories. We were shooting at microwave towers for communication towers. We were shooting at control towers and control stations and headquarters buildings and stuff like that. We were not shooting at baby milk factories. But that is a Tomahawk missile that we watched launch and then physically saw the missile on television as it was going to its destination. But these are some of the things that you can see here on board Battleship Wisconsin when you come visit.